start lying flat on your back, and you can have your heels about mat distance, but then also take your arms up and overhead so that you have a sort of almost like a star shape. So the arms are in a V shape, the legs are in a V shape, and then we'll start stretching diagonal lines. So you can take an inhale and stretch through the right toes and the left fingertips, and then exhale, release. And then left toes, right fingertips, and exhale, release. And do a few more of those, stretching, and you can use this with the breath along diagonal lines, just getting some initial mobility into the body. And once you complete the next round, then stay centered. And we're going to initiate movement with our right hand. So slide the right hand down on your belly toward the left hip. Lift the head, inhale, and then exhale. Come back and reach the right arm back, and then do the same on the left side. Left hand to belly, right arm stays back behind you. Reach for your hip, opposite hip, and then exhale, release back. And then inhaling, come up, right hand to left hip, reaching past the hip toward the knee, and then come back down. And then left hand reaches across the opposite hip and thigh towards the knee. And then exhale, come back down. One more round. Inhaling, right arm, left leg, coming maybe even past the knee. And then roll back down, exhaling. Inhale, come up. Left hand slides down the right leg, maybe even past the knee. And then exhale, come back down. And take an inhale. And then we start again, this time with the exhale. Right arm reaches across left leg. Let it slide all the way along the leg, all the way to the foot. And then circle around. Bring the other arm in. The right arm slides back into its original position. Left arm along left leg. And then other side, start with the left arm along the right leg, sitting up, and then circling all the way across, sliding the left hand back, sliding all the way down. And again, right arm reaches across, so we're using our abdominals. Today we'll do more work into spinal stabilization, coming all the way back down. And then last side, left arm comes across, right leg, circle all the way over, left hand draws back, and then you lie back down. And then you may want to take your legs a little bit closer to each other. Let's say they're hip distance, and take your arms up so that again, maybe the wrists are about hip distance. The toes are pointing up. And then press the back of the head into the floor. Lift the chest off the ground. Breathe in. And then breathe out and release the shoulder blades back to the floor. Inhale, lift the shoulder blades up. Hands stay down, head stays down. Exhale, release. Inhale, lifting the shoulder blades up. Exhale, release. Now lift the shoulder blades a little, lift your arms, and then see if you can lift all the way up to sit and reach the fingers toward your toes. And then exhale, slide the hands down the legs and eventually all the way up and overhead. Back of the head down, chest lifts a little, arms lift, inhale, lift up. So your shoulder blades may well come down as you're coming up. It may not be possible otherwise, but just explore a little bit and then sliding back down. And again, lifting the arms, lift the chest, and then lifting all the way up. It's almost as if you're arching up a little bit. And then exhale, come down. Let's take one more, lifting the chest, lift the arms, and then lift up. And then exhale, roll all the way back down. And then take your arms down by your side and place your feet flat on the floor. And we continue spinal mobilization. Now, this is almost like a little counterpose to what we did before. So press the feet down, curl the tailbone under, lift the sacrum off the floor. So the lower back comes to the floor a little bit more. Then peel the spine off the floor more, vertebra by vertebra. And it's not important how high you get. We're not interested in the back bend. And then exhale, drop the top vertebra down first. You can even place a thumb on the spine as high up as you can get it. And then vertebra by vertebra, releasing the spine back down. And as you're down, lift the lower back so you're arching the spine a little. Let the tailbone come closer to the floor. Then release the lower back into the floor and curl the tailbone under. Peel the spine off the floor. Notice how vertebra by vertebra the spine lifts, and you can tuck your thumbnail to the top of the spine there. It doesn't matter if you can't reach. I mean, this is only to give us a reference that we want to sequentially release down one vertebra at a time, which is actually hard work. Then once you get all the way down, lift the lower back so you're arching the spine, the lower back a little bit, and then start again. Release the lower spine to the floor, lift the tailbone, lift the sacrum, peel the spine off the ground. And then from the top down, so really let the thoracic vertebrae drop to the ground as if they had some extra weight. Release back to the floor. And let's do one more of those, taking the tailbone to the floor first, lifting the lower back, do the arching first. And then one more to lift off sequentially, one vertebra at the time. And then from the top, peel all the way back down. And once you get down, tilt the pelvis the other way. So the frontal hip bones move away from you, lift the lower back, and then release the lower back toward the floor again. It may not come all the way down, of course. And then reach your arms up and overhead, stretch out your legs, and just to come up to sit, as we did before, lift your shoulder blades just off the ground, lift your arms, press the back of the head into the floor, and then inhale, lift up to sit, and one smooth movement. Good. Now grab your blanket, and it's folded up like this. Place it onto your shins, so you have to have your legs close enough so that can easily happen. Get your tins or get your bricks, and they'll be on your palms. And then reach your arms up and overhead. So the props are just balancing on the palms, and the legs and the arms are on the floor. And imagine that the props are heavier than they are, and press into them and keep breathing. So your arms and legs don't have to leave the floor, but imagine the blanket is heavier than it is, and the bricks or tins are heavier than they are, and you're pressing up into them. Then keep going. Imagine that you're gaining a little bit of extra strength, which is why you can now lift your arms just off the ground and also lift the head. And still pressing up with the legs, pressing up with the arms, breathing. Probably the whole body is shaking at this stage. Then slide your arms out to the side and then forward, still balancing your props, and curl your ribs, all of your ribs off the floor. So you have to lift quite high. Still breathing. Good. Then bend your knees and come all the way up to sit. And still imagine that the props are heavier than they are and you're pressing up into them. Beautiful. Then release the legs down, curl the tailbone under, and in slow motion, release back to the floor, reach the arms overhead. And the good news is we're only going to do it one more time. So start by keeping arms and legs on the floor, but press up. And draw the lower ribs towards the pubic bone. The lower back vertebrae may well be off the floor, but they're coming a little closer to the floor. Then lift your arms just a little bit off the ground, lift the head. This is also great strengthening work for the neck. If this is too much for the neck at this stage, you can always keep the head down. Then circle the arms out to the side and then forward and lift all your ribs off the floor. And then bend the knees and sit up. It's almost such a relief to come into this Navasana shape. Nice work for the back, strengthening work for the back here, and still pressing up into a heavy weight. And then slowly release your heels, slide your feet, then curl the tailbone under, round the spine, and roll all the way back onto the back. And then take your arms out at shoulder height, and you can move your props to the side, shift the blanket to the side, place your feet flat on the floor. And just to release, we take a twist, press your feet down, shift your hips over to the right, and then drop the knees over to the left and hold on to the top leg with your left hand. Maybe turn the right ear towards the right shoulder. If that's too much for the neck, keep it centered. Feel the body breathing, soften and relax just a little bit after all this hard work. And then inhale, come back to center, press your feet down, shift the hips over to the opposite side, bring the knees down to the right, and you can weigh down the knees with your right hand. And then maybe the left ear comes toward the floor, so you're looking over the shoulder if that's comfortable for you at this stage. Any shoulder issues, of course, you can keep the arm closer down and toward the body. And keep your legs as they are, but take the back arm and reach it all the way over to your right side so that you can then press into the right hand and make your way up to a seated position. And we're going to come to all fours. We'll do a few things on all fours. So just to keep it comfortable on the knees, you could have a blanket underneath the knees. If you don't need that, that's fine, but it might be quite nice. Now, if you're working with wrist issues, just see how you go. The beginning parts may still be okay. Then later on, you might have to modify a few things. A few things might be a little bit strong for the wrists, but we'll start with continuing our mobilization for the spine. Just a few rounds of cat stretch. Start with your toes tucked under, and then with an inhale, tip the pelvis forward, and you can almost, again, imagine that you feel one vertebra move at a time. Eventually, the sort of chain reaction reaches the neck lengthens, the gaze is forward, and then exhale, turning the pelvis the other way so that the tailbone tips down. And again, vertebra after vertebra, it has an effect on the rest of the spine. And then tucking the toes under, tipping the pelvis forward. And as you come toward the back bend, soften the elbows and hug them back and towards each other. And then exhale, point the toes, tip the pelvis back. And eventually, one vertebra at a time, the wave ripples through until it reaches the crown of the head. And let's take one more, tucking the toes under, tipping the pelvis forward. And then pointing the toes, tipping the pelvis back, hugging the belly in, pushing the floor away. And then come to a neutral all fours stance. And you can tuck toes or point toes, whatever works. Take an inhale and bend your elbows, take them out to the side. Exhale, circle the elbows back and then straighten the arms. And the arms don't have to be all the way straight. Inhale, bend the elbows, take them out to the side. Exhale, circle them back, they hover, and then you re-extend your arms. Inhale, bending the elbows, so we're stabilizing the shoulders here. Keep the belly in. Exhale, circle the elbows back and re-extend your arms. And if you need to lift weight off your hands for a moment, sit back. You can also do the next thing with your fists on the floor. In fact, why don't we all do that? A little bit of wrist strengthening thrown in for free. So pressing the right fist into the floor, take the left arm out to the side. If this is a bit much to bear with that right wrist, if you're not used to that sort of thing, keep the hand flat, right hand flat. Take an inhale and look towards your left arm. And then exhale, look down to the floor. Turn the head, rotate, look toward the right side. So we're working with rotation of the neck. Exhale, look down toward the floor. And we do it one more time. Inhale, rotating the head around its now sort of horizontal axis. And then coming back, turning the gaze down. And then turning the gaze over to the right shoulder. And exhale, gaze back down. And then inhale, lift the left arm up a little bit higher. Free the shoulder, soften the shoulder. And then exhale, let's come into a twist. Take the hand behind the other fist. Bring the side of the head to the floor, shoulder to the floor. Prop yourself up on the right fingertips and press the right fingers down. And check out the positioning of the pelvis. Often we have to adjust a little bit. The right hip needs to move back a little bit so that we're twisting through the spine. So again, another twist to mobilize the spine as a sort of counter action to the strengthening work we've done on the core to stabilize the back. And then press your right hand flat into the floor. Take an inhale and lift up and sweep the left arm out to the left side. Straighten the left leg. Bring the sole of the left foot to the floor and pivot on the right knee and take the right foot behind you like a kickstand just to help you find your balance. Then take the top arm up and overhead. Take an inhale here and then make a soft fist with the top hand. Exhale, pull that fist down behind your head so the elbow bends. Take the elbow a little closer to the body. Inhale, straighten the arm up and overhead. Imagine you're pulling down a weight. Exhale, pull fist behind head, elbow hugs towards body. One more time. Inhale, reach the arm up. And then imagine that you're pulling something pretty heavy behind the head, elbow close to the body. Inhale, reach the arm up and overhead. And then exhale, come back to all fours. Again, if you need to shift back and lift both hands off the ground for a moment, that's fine. And if that working on the fist was okay for you, left fist to the floor, the thumb wraps around the fingers and the knuckles. This part here is facing inwards. And then take the right arm out at shoulder height. And we're going to rotate the head. So take an inhale and rotate the head to the right. Rotate around that sort of horizontal axis. Of course, it has its own curve. Exhale, circle down, rotate down. And then inhale, rotate to the left side. Notice how it feels, whether there's any restriction or freedom. Turning back down. And then one more time. Rotating the face toward the right, then take it back down and to the left and turn back down, and then inhale, lift the right shoulder higher, free the right shoulder, soften the right shoulder, and then exhale, sweep the right arm behind the fist all the way over to the left side, and then come onto your fingertips and press down into the fingertips. And often here the left hip needs to slip back a little bit. So maybe just a sense of moving the pelvis forwards and backwards a few times and see where you need to go to find a sort of balanced positioning for the pelvis. Great. And then slip your left hand closer and bring the hand flat to the floor. Press down, lift the right arm out to the side, and then straighten your right leg behind you. Drop the sole of the foot to the floor. Kickstand with your left foot so that your left foot comes back behind you. You're pivoting on the knee, and the right arm is up and overhead. Inhaling here. And then exhale, pull that heavy weight down behind the head, but hug the elbow close to the body. Inhale, reach up. And imagine that heavy weight so all the muscles are working. Inhaling to reach up. And then exhale, pulling down, elbow close to the body. Inhale, reach up, and all the pull actions are so important. Exhale, release down, come back to all fours. I said in the first week, we have a lot of pushing in yoga. We don't have so much pulling. So all these actions are really helpful, are really useful. So let's come back to a similar action to what we had before with that bending of elbows out to the side. And this time we're going to aim to bring them all the way to the floor before we lift them back up. If things are getting a little strong on the wrists, feel free to just bring the forearms down and hold there because the movement can be pretty strong, or any other part of the body, of course. So inhale, bend the elbows out to the side. And then exhale, spiraling back, touch to the floor. And then inhale, lift back up, elbows to the side. Exhale, hug them in, bring them to the floor. Inhale, lift up, bend the elbows out to the side. And exhale, release the elbows down. And then lift your hands off the floor, walk your elbows forward, point your toes, touch your fingertips together, and then shift towards a child's pose. So you can keep the hips a little bit higher, or you can slide further back, but the elbows are sort of sliding against the traction of the mat, which gives the shoulders a little bit of a counter stretch here. And then feel the breath. And then release the fingers down. Come back to all fours. You may want to remove your blanket. Your knees aren't really going to be on the floor much anymore. We take a similar sort of forearm down action, but we combine it with a downward dog and then a one leg lift in downward dog. So start by placing the forearms down, and the elbows are maybe a little less wide than the shoulders, just a touch less wide than the shoulders. The forearms are parallel. Now lift your hips so that you're in a forearm dog. Now inhale, lift the right leg up behind you, doesn't matter how high. Exhale, look forward, lift the elbows, step the right foot forward, all in one exhale. Yes. Inhale, lift up, high lunge. Exhale as if you had a heavy weight above you. Pull down, elbows come back behind you slightly. Inhale, reach the arms up once more. And then pull down that heavy weight, engaging all the muscles. Inhale, lift your arms up. Exhale, place your hands down. Now, swing the right leg back, bring your forearms down, and one smooth movement. Right leg is lifted. Exhale, look forward, lift the forearms up, step forward, and then we start again. We do 3 rounds on each side. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, get that pulling action going. Inhale, reach up. Keep the lower ribs down. Exhale, hands down. As the leg lifts up behind you, the forearms come down. Inhaling, tripod forearm dog. Exhale, look forward. Last round, step forward. If this is getting a little strong, feel free to pause for the last one. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, reach up. Beautiful, guys. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, forearms down. Swing the right leg up behind you. Exhale, release the right foot down. Just one more side left. Inhale, lift the left leg. Exhale, look forward, lift the elbows, step forward. One side might be more difficult or easier than the other. Lift the arms. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, hands down. Swing the left leg up behind you, forearms down. Tripod forearm dog, inhale. Exhale, look forward, lift the elbows, step forward. It could almost be fun. Inhale, reach the arms. Exhale, elbows down. Inhale, reach up. Pull down, exhale. Inhaling. Exhale, hands down. Swing the left leg up, elbows down. Inhale, last round. Exhale, step forward. Breathe in and reach the arms up. Exhale, pull down. Inhale, reach up. Pull down a heavy weight. Exhale. Inhaling up. Exhale, hands down. Left leg lifts, forearms down, forearm tripod dog. And then exhale, bring the left foot down. Bring your knees to the floor. Keep your hips lifted. Walk your hands forward. And then from here, from this Anahatasana, this puppy pose, we'll take it into a side stretch. So lift the belly in a little, inhale, and then exhale, walk your hands over to your left side. And once you can't can't walk any further, you can take the back hand onto the front hand. Or if it feels better to take the front hand onto the back hand, you can do that. But the arms are sort of straight. Good, lovely. Then take an inhale and walk your hands back to center. Exhale, walk your hands over to the other side. And once you can walk no further with the hands, place maybe the back hand onto the front hand or the other way around. Keep your left hip back so that the hips don't twist to one side. They stay centered. Good. And then inhale, walk the hands back forward. Bring your forearms down, forearms parallel. Last thing here, I promise. Walk your feet back, come into a forearm plank, lifting the knees off the ground. Bring your hips in line with the shoulders. So walk maybe a touch further back than you think you should. And take your feet about shoulder distance so they're not too close. Breathe in and then breathe out and drop the heels over to the right side. And keep the belly button sort of pointing toward the floor. And avoid shifting your hips back. So keep the hips sort of center of the mat. And then inhale, come up. And exhale, swap over to the other side. Drop the heels to the left. The legs stay straight. The hips stay in. The navel points down. Inhale, come up. And exhale one more time, first side. Good. Keep the hips not too high. Come back to center. Inhale. Exhale, second side. Great. Really good. Inhale, come to center. And then exhale, bring the knees down, bring the hips down, come back to Sphinx. And From there, we're going to do a few things lying on our front. So basically, we're just working with the neck, and we've been going through the same neck movements in the last 2 weeks, but always in different orientations towards the ground, towards gravity, and therefore different muscles needed to be working. So today, we'll do things from the belly, lying on the front. Take your arms back by your side. Now, it's a little bit difficult, but you don't want to, at least at this stage, lift yourself up from the back muscles. This is obviously great work using the back muscles to lift up, but for now, for the moment, we're trying to isolate the work into the neck muscles. So forehead to the floor, arms are by your side, and then try and relax your abdominals, try and relax your back muscles, and then inhale as if the head was really quite heavy. Lift the head off the floor and consciously try not to engage the back muscles. And then exhale, release the head back down. And inhale, lift the head. So it's a small movement and you're sort of retracting your chin. You're making double, triple chins. Exhale, release back down. So it's like you're just lifting the back of the head up. Inhale. And exhale back down. Next time, stay up. So inhale, lift the back of the head. Keep your shoulders sort of low and relaxed here. Then exhale, turn your face towards the left. So it's rotation in the neck. Inhale, turn the face towards the floor. And exhale, turn the face to the right. Inhale to the floor. Keep your shoulders relaxed and down. Exhale to the left. Inhale to center. Exhale to the right. Inhale to center. And then exhale, release the forehead to the floor for a moment. Relax completely. Now, similar thing, but we take lateral flexion, so side bending. Inhale, retract the chin, lift the head. Exhale, left ear to left shoulder. Try and relax your glutes. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, right ear, right shoulder. Inhale to center. So try and isolate it to the side stretch now, which I always find hard. Exhale, left ear, left shoulder. So you're keeping the face turned down the whole time. Inhale to center. Exhale, right ear, right shoulder. Inhale to center. And exhale, release the forehead down for a moment. Or if it's more comfortable, it could be the chin on the floor. It doesn't matter. And then just to do something else for a moment, we will now use our back muscle. So this is back strengthening work, and it'll be more a Shalabhasana sort of shape. So take an inhale, lift up quite a bit higher, and if you wish, also lift the legs. Sweep the arms forward, bring the hands above the head. Inhaling here, and then exhale, sweep back, turn the palms up, take the hands above the lower back, just hover. Inhaling to swim forward, hands behind head. Exhale, swimming back, palms up, hands hover above lower back. Try not to touch the body apart from hands touching each other. Inhale, come forward, and exhale, come back. Inhale, come forward, and exhale, come back. And continue. If this is getting too strong, place the hands on the floor, release down, but otherwise a few more rounds, like you're swimming slowly, deliberately, inhaling up and exhaling back. I would say let's do 2 more. Inhaling forward. Of course, you can stay with your own breath cycle. Exhaling back, and then the palms turn up. Inhaling forward and exhaling back. Good. Take it forward. Inhale. Place the hands on top of each other. Release the forehead down onto the hands. Breathe. And then grab your belt. And we will stay on our belly, but if this is not a good position for you today, then you could do the same actions from a seated position. So you can just sit cross-legged and then do the same thing. So we'll take the belt. I'm using the scarf, and we'll place it at the base of the skull, essentially, and there's going to be sort of an action to press the head into the belt and sort of imagine you're lifting the head up with the belt just a little bit. We just want to increase length in the neck a little bit rather than add compression as we're pressing the head up into the belt. So lie on your front, and this will mess up your hair. So I hope that's okay for you. And place your elbows on the floor and lift your forearms up, and then place the whatever you're using, scarf, belt, behind the head. So you're sort of propping yourself up on your elbows, the hands are lifted. Now slide the belt side to side, and at the same time keep pressing the head up slightly into the belt. Let's say 25% pressure up. And you could experiment what it feels like when you take the head lower. So again, you want to use your deep neck flexors and neck extensors rather than the lower back muscles. And this also works the shoulders. And then release down. And then we do a similar thing, but this time we're going to keep the belt static and move the head instead. So propping yourself up and keep the head reasonably low, because then you can isolate the movement into the neck a little bit more easily. Press the back of the head up, and with the strap there's also a little bit of a forward pull action just to keep the neck long. And then rotate the head to one side, back to center, to the other side, back to center, to the first side. Might not be ideal for the ears, to see how you go, to the second side. And one more time, first side. And second side. And then release the head down. Relax for a moment. And then reach your arms out in front of you, still holding on to the belt. Take an inhale and lift your head and lift the arms off the ground, and then pull the belt apart. And keep breathing. I know this is not easy here. Yes, good. Lovely, wonderful. And then exhale, release. Really well done. Now, if you have a belt, it may not work so well, but if you have something quite soft, bunch it up a little bit, and you want to place that bunch underneath one ear and take the face away from that bunch. So all we're doing is we're lifting the ear side of the head up a little bit so that the face is not all the way turned to the side, but can turn down a little bit, and that will make it a much nicer, softer neck stretch. And then after a while, if you're interested, you could experiment with taking that padding out from underneath your ear. And then the neck will have to rotate much more to come to the floor, and then you could notice how that feels. And then swap sides. So lift the head, bunch up the belt, or if you have a piece of clothing, you can use that instead. Turn the head to the other side, and then underneath the ear and a little bit towards the back, towards the space behind the ear, you have that bunch so that you don't have to turn the head all the way, but the face can sort of hang down a little bit. And maybe then removing that padding. And then come back to center, lifting the head to center. Place your hands underneath the shoulders and press back into a child's pose. And we'll do a little bit of a neck release from here. I like to have my knees quite wide, just not too wide, a little wider than the hips. And then rest the arms by your side. If that's really uncomfortable, arms could be forward as well. And then if it works for you, then turn the head to one side and this is less strong on the neck than what we did just previously. This is more of a softening release. And then if it feels okay, try it out. Rock the hips side to side so that you're giving your neck also a little stretch because the head will follow the rocking movement. And then shift the head over to the other side. And as you do, check that the chin is in slightly so you're not lifting the chin up so the neck stays long. Then adding that rocking movement. Of course, you could have a blanket underneath the knees here if that feels better. And then release, turn the head to center and lift up. And take one brick, or you can take your two tins, and the brick will come underneath your sacrum. We'll do a supported bridge pose. So if you have two things, then you have to slide them under sort of one by one. And what you may want, if you have two items, particularly because the edges of the tins might be really quite hard, is put a blanket on top of them. So you have to sort of get a blanket close to you and the tins close to you so that you can place all of that together. I mean, not together, you can place it one after the other, but essentially you're lifting the hips and you're going for a height that is comfortable. And whatever prop you're using, if you want to soften the prop, drape a blanket on top of it. And unless you're going for the highest setting, if you do have a brick, then I would suggest you take the brick wide so that the whole pelvis is supported from side to side. And then reach your arms up and overhead. And if you notice that, oh, I could probably go for a little bit more height, if you do have a yoga brick, then you can adjust the height, reaching the arms up and overhead. Now, you could either hold on to your elbows or cross your wrists, touch your palms together. So crossing the wrists, touching the palms together. And then reach through the fingertips. A little bit of activity through the legs to keep the base of the big toes down, the inner thighs dropping down. Keep a little reach through the fingertips if you have your arms extended. And if you are crossing your wrists, then now cross them the other way. And if you're holding your elbows, then change which forearm is in front. And then release your arms down. Press your feet into the floor and lift your hips, remove whatever's underneath you, and then come down. And to come out of this, let's use the same technique as we did in the beginning of the class. Straighten out your legs. The legs may be hip distance. Reach your arms up and overhead. Press the back of the head down. Lift the shoulder blades away from the ground just slightly. Lift the arms away from the floor and then inhale, lift up all the way to sit. Good, lovely. And then grab your belt. You won't need it quite yet, but place it in front of your brick, or if you have tins, then you can place the tins behind each other like this. And then most likely, even if you're using a brick, you will want a blanket on top of it to soften this a little bit. And if you're using the tins, I mean, you have to see about the height. I mean, sometimes if you have a sturdy book, like a really thick hardback book, then you could elevate the tins a little bit and that could work. But basically, you want this to go to the space between the shoulder blades. So it'll come here. And this is a pretty intense stretch. So approach this with caution. This is quite a deep heart opener to sort of counterbalance the strong shoulder work we've been doing with all the forearm plank positions. Start with your feet on the floor, and you can hold on to your prop behind you just to secure it. Bring the space between the shoulder blades onto the prop. So you might have to sort of wiggle forwards, backwards a little bit. Once the shoulder blades or space between is starting to go in the right place, interlace your hands behind the head so that you can support the head. And this can feel pretty intense, particularly in the beginning. Then sometimes it eases off after a few seconds. And if it doesn't, I suggest you come out and lower your prop. Stretch out your legs. Then imagine that you have something heavy on your ankles and push that up. So you're not lifting your heels, the heels stay on the floor, but you're pressing up. And this adds some activation through the legs, through the core of the body. It helps you to keep the breastbone, the bottom tip of the breastbone down a little bit, and it sort of makes it a little more comfortable, maybe, despite its intensity. So keep pressing up through the ankles. Keep breathing. If you're not breathing, come out of this shape. The first time I did this, I thought, oh my God, this is absolutely crazy. And now I actually really love it. So things can change over time. Now to come out of this, reach your arms forward, gather the belly in, use your abdominals, lift yourself up and out of this. Great. If this was a little bit too intense, take it down a notch. Either lower the prop or go back to the supported bridge pose. If this was okay, then maybe you can follow on with the next. So this is where we're going to need the belt. Feel free to watch me go into it first before you go into it yourself. So have the belt sort of spread out so that you can catch the edges of it. Get the shoulder blades in place. Then hold on to the belt. You want to take the arms up and overhead and push the hands away from you. Lengthen the arms, release the head all the way back. If this is too intense, stay with the previous option of having the hands interlaced behind the head. It's increasingly hard to speak there. So pulling the hands up, arms straight. Again, if this is a bit too much, come into bridge pose. Good. Let the head hang, so the head hangs behind the brick. If that's not working for you, I suggest you release the belt and you hold the head with your hands. Arms straighten up. Good. And then press your ankles up into some weight. You can come out of this at any stage. Please do not wait for me, but if you're okay, then a few more breaths here. Maybe 3 more breaths. And to come out, release your hands, take your arms forward, and then curl in. Use your abdominals, make your way all the way up. And then move the props to the side and just lie flat on your back for a moment. And you can either have the legs straight or bend the knees. You can rest the hands on the body. If the knees are bent, you can drop them in towards each other, constructive rest. And just notice how it feels. How does the body feel after those 2 stretches? So it's always important to, of course, pay attention to how it feels when you're in a pose and modify appropriately, but then also to notice what happens when you come out of a pose and how it feels after a few seconds, after maybe a minute, after maybe 2 minutes. And then we take a front-lying Shavasana today as a counter pose. So you'll need whatever you're using as a bolster. You'll need a blanket which you can sort of roll up, fold up. So you want the blanket to be quite a thick roll, and that'll be for the forehead. And if you have tins, it's probably better than bricks, but bricks will also work. Place them at the opposite end of the mat, and they will support the ankles. And then you bring the pubic bone onto the one end of the bolster. You might have to shift your ankle props back a little bit if you didn't quite estimate that so well, just like me. And then the forehead comes onto the blanket roll so that the face has some free space underneath it. And the arms can come back by your side, letting the shoulders hang, letting the whole body relax into this pose. If this is not a pose that you feel you can relax into easily, I would suggest you turn yourself around, place the bolster underneath your knees. So this should really feel very comfortable, very supported. If you're close to a bed, you could lie down on the bed. And then soften. And let your attention move through the body. Feel the neck. And sometimes we can just get a sense of a sort of inner disentanglement. All the structures of the neck, the muscles around the neck that have worked quite hard, the muscles at the front, the throat, deep at the base of the throat. Soften that whole area. Letting the shoulders soften, the shoulders relax. Maybe again, that sort of inner sense of disentangling any energetic knots and blockages in the shoulders. Notice how the back body feels. Maybe sending a few breaths into the back area from the upper back all the way to the lower back. Softening, releasing. that disentangling of blockages, of places of tightness or tension. Almost like there is an active way of letting go. And then take a few deeper breaths. Eventually, slip the hands underneath the shoulders if you're lying on your front. And pressing down into the hands so that you can shift back into a brief child's pose. And wherever you are, whether you're in a child's pose or lying on your back, then make your way up to sit.